And welcome back. This year's Newfoundland Senior Hockey League Herder Cup went to the Grand Falls Windsor Cataracts. And welcome back. This year's Newfoundland Senior Hockey League Herder Cup went to the Grand Falls Windsor Cataracts. They won the playoff finals 4-2 against the Clarenville Caribous. And although the Gander Flyers did make it to the playoffs, they lost to the Western Royals when Western swept 3 games straight. So here to take a look back at the season and look forward to next year's season is the president and general manager of Gander Senior Flyers, Garry White. Garry, thanks for coming in.
Not a problem, Gina.
So why don't we take a look back? First of all, why don't you just give us a general impression of how you saw last year's season?
Personally, I think it was a very successful season. We set out 2 years ago with a 3 to 4 year business plan, and we wanted to proceed, and everything is going as per normal with regards to production on the ice. We do have some issues off the ice, especially when it comes to fan support. We lost some fans this year, and we'd like for them to come back next year and cheer the boys on.
The Gander Flyers actually did better this year than they did their first year. And to be honest with you, when we kind of looked at the stats, I was a little surprised. They had more points, more wins.
Yep, that's correct. And that's why I say we had a successful season on the ice, and our home wins went up, our losses obviously went down. And to us, building from a young team that we had to build on, we consider it a very successful season.
What do you see as some of the biggest challenges that you had last year?
It's the way the league is set up, and is my personal beliefs on the draft system. It's hard to get new talent to come into the system without going to a draft process. And what I mean by that is, if throughout the year we have a player that's not producing or for some reason is injured, we have no way of drafting or getting a senior caliber player coming into the organization. So it's hard to replace that void.
Especially when you're trying to build a team up.
That's correct.
It's so young, whereas some of these other teams, they've had history. So you're really trying to build up that core group of players. Mm-hmm. What about some of the highlights for you, looking back?
Well, we brought on some new talent with Peter Campbell. Turned out to be a definite asset for us, and is our new team captain. Jeremy Van Hoof came in to us from Ontario to play on the point. And Rob McNarty coming out of the AHL that had to sit out a year before joining the University of New Brunswick. So these 3 players brought a lot of experience to the team and gave the confidence to our younger players. So that was one of the things that we really wanted to build on.
I know in the beginning of the season there was a lot of talk about defense and if that was going to be an issue. Looking at how they did, what would you summarize things defensively?
Well, defensively, we still do have issues, and there's quite a few teams out there that's finding it hard to find senior caliber, good defensemen in the province. And so the Gander Flyers are no different than any other team. This year we put better firepower up front, and we still did lack in the defensive unit. And that's no disrespect to the players we have playing there, because they played their utmost. They played above the potential of what we thought they had for the team, and we're very appreciative of that. But we still need to take a look next season, is when do you add on some more defensive experience, and that's my task right now.
Often they're overlooked, but let's talk about the goalies.
Goaltenders, Paddy and Devin, we couldn't have asked more. These guys played with other teams and weren't really given the opportunity to showcase their talent. Coming into a new team, a young team, they had every opportunity to do that. And starting off the year, we played them game for game, and then we slowly transitioned into making Paddy our #1 goaltender. And 2 guys, outstanding guys to deal with, and they played their hearts out for our team.
Looking back at the playoffs and the format, there was a little bit of a question there for quite a while as to the format of the playoffs. They were very late kind of coming out with it. How do you feel that played into things?
Well, the uncertainty is there. I like to have a little bit more structure and know from day one how you're going to move forward throughout the year. Personally, I think the regular season should count for something. So if you were the last team in your division, I think you should have been dismissed from the playoffs and let the top 2 teams go and compete for the top position. The league's seen other ways, and when I say the league, I'm talking about all 6 teams that input into this, and they decided that everybody was going to make the playoffs. Do I necessarily agree with that? No, but you do what the majority wants.
What do you think is going to change next year? There's a lot of different issues. One being the format for the playoffs, but the other being how generally the Senior Hockey League is going to look across this province. Do you think there's going to be a change in who we're going to see next year when it comes to the teams?
Every one of us can go and speculate what's going to happen. There are rumors, and I stress the word rumors. There are one or two teams that's considering either moving their franchise elsewhere or withdrawing from the league altogether. Until we have our annual general meeting and this is openly discussed, it's hard to say. I'm not a big fan of the draft system. I would like to see changes made there and probably even eliminate it. But right now it's very early to speculate because we are a 6-team league as of right now. We do have a board of directors. So we go in and discuss all these issues and majority rules. So it'll be too early to speculate on what's going to actually take place.
Finance is obviously a huge issue for every single team. And like you said, we may even see some of these teams not coming back when it comes to some of the struggles that they're having financially. What do you see that the teams need to do to boost up fan attendance, perhaps encourage more corporate sponsorship to keep the teams going?
That's a good question because here in Gander, from our perspective, corporate sponsorship is perfect. I mean, we can't ask for any more of the businesses than we've already got from them. The support has been fantastic. We have lost fan support, and just equivalating a fan to a dollar amount, we've probably lost about $35,000 in revenue with the decline in fan support. So that is one of the problems and one of the issues that our executive is facing is how do we get those fans back into the stadium? It's a good question. Do I have the answer right now? No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Is perhaps one of the places that money's being spent is on imports. And I know some people say, well, maybe we shouldn't look at putting the money into imports. Can we do it, still have good quality hockey by having great players, but not necessarily have the imports that's taking so much of the funds?
Yeah, and there's many thoughts on imports. Personally, I'm not feeling that the imports is what's causing this league so much money, because I can honestly go to Ontario or go to Nova Scotia and negotiate with a player and financially will cost them less. Sometimes our flights are a little bit more expensive, but if you take a look at a team from St. John's or from Corner Brook, it's easier for them to fly in a player from Halifax than it is from St. John's. It's a lot cheaper. It's close to half price. So the imports that we brought in for a player compensation didn't cost us more than the players in Newfoundland. Sometimes the travel, yes, the increased travel is there. But it's a case with the senior caliber hockey in Newfoundland. We also got to realize that we got another league out in the Avalon East. Some of those senior caliber players don't want to spend all weekend traveling back and forth on buses. They got families, they got work lives back in St. John's, and they don't want to do that. So it is very hard for our league, and especially the teams here in Gander, Grand Falls, and Corner Brook, to get that local talent that's around to actually come out and give up their full weekends.
We only have a minute left, so I'm going to get you to touch on a couple of things. First of all, the Gander Senior Flyers coming back next year.
Of course.
And you're coming back next year?
As of right now, I'm here. The label is on my coat, and that's where it's going to start.
I know it's early in the off season. Any people we're going to see movement of coming in or leaving? I know Grant Donovan has already come out publicly. Yep. You're one of the top scorers. He's already come out and said he's not going to be coming back. McNarty, we know, is not coming back. That was, right at the beginning of the season. Anybody else you're going to talk about?
Well, there's a couple people that indicated that they may not be back. I got Chad Locke that just moved to New York. His girlfriend took a job down there. Whether he's going to be interested in coming back and playing with us is probably going to be just as cheap to flying from New York to St. John's as it is from Charlottetown to Gander, because that is an expensive flight. We got Paddy O'Brien. Vindicated. Now he's just graduating with his career as a paramedic. So depending on where he's working, whether he's going to be able to commit, who knows.
And what about Campbell?
Peter Campbell, I've spoke to him a couple times since he left, and he's eager to come back. Now he just had a small child, so family life is also the deciding factor.
Because we kind of forget sometimes these guys have lives outside of hockey.
This is probably his third or fourth step in their life.
Well, Gary, I appreciate you coming in.
Anytime.
And putting you on the spot a little bit.
Not a
we
problem.
look forward to seeing next year and seeing what everything's looking like.
We look forward to being back.
Make sure if you hear anything, you pass along the details.
We will.
We'll be back with more right after this.
So please give us a call at 651-3257. Simply put all of your comments in an email addressed to skyways@rci.rogers.com. Travel first class to our website at www.rogerstv.com.